بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم. معزز سامعین جو ہمارے ساتھ یہاں پر اور ورچولی موجود ہیں، السلام علیکم اینڈ گڈ مارننگ. میں طیبہ سلیم آج کے ویبینار میں آپ سب کو خوش آمدید کہتی ہوں. پروگرام کا باقاعدہ آغاز تلاوت قرآن پاک سے کریں گے.
بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم.
اللہ کے نام سے جو بڑا مہربان نہایت رحم والا ہے. سورہ زلزال.
اذا زلزلت الارض زلزالها
جب زمین اپنی پوری شدت کے ساتھ ہلا ڈالی جائے گی.
واخرجت الارض اثقالها
اور زمین اپنے اندر کے سارے بوجھ نکال کر باہر ڈال دے گی.
وقال الانسان ما لها
اور انسان کہے گا یہ اس کو کیا ہو رہا ہے.
يومئذ تحدث اخبارها
اس روز وہ اپنے اوپر گزرے ہوئے حالات بیان کرے گی.
بأن ربك أوحى لها
کیونکہ تیرے رب نے اسے ایسا کرنے کا حکم دیا ہوگا.
يومئذ يصدر الناس أشتاتا ليروا أعمالهم
اس روز لوگ گروہ در گروہ پلٹیں گے تاکہ ان کے اعمال ان کو دکھائے جائیں.
فمن يعمل مثقال ذرة خيرا يره
پھر جس نے ذرا برابر نیکی کی ہوگی وہ اس کو دیکھ لے گا.
ومن يعمل مثقال ذرة شرا يره
اور جس نے ذرا برابر بدی کی ہوگی وہ اس کو دیکھ لے گا.
صدق اللہ العظیم.
جزاک اللہ. آپ سب سے گزارش ہے کہ قومی ترانے کے احترام میں اپنی سیٹ سے کھڑے ہو جائیں. شکریہ. اب میں دعوت دیتی ہوں رضی فاروقی صاحب کو جو کے الیکٹرک میں ہیڈ آف سائبر سیکیورٹی ہیں. آپ آئیں اور آج کے موضوع پہ اپنی بریفنگ دیں. تھینک یو.
Thank you. Can you guys hear me? Ji. Assalamu alaikum and thank you very much everyone. I mean, you know, Ammar Jafri sahab yahan par hain and I was thinking as Sir Isaac Newton have said, standing on the shoulders of giants. So Ammar Jafri sahab obviously have been a source of sort of, you know, the first mover, first person who explored this opportunity back in the days when nobody was. So thank you, Marsa, for all that leadership. Again, thank you to NEPRA and thank you to Kuratalain and all the other directors as well as the staff, and particular thanks to Mr. Chairman for giving K Electric the opportunity to come and share our experiences over here and help the whole sector on the whole to move forward and strengthen cybersecurity in a combined fashion. अच्छा, also मैं चाहूंगा कि थोड़ा सा interactive session हो जाए, तो please don't wait for a QA sort of session answer. Let's keep it lively. Whenever you have any questions, please Zoom pe hai, raise your hand, or ping or over here. So happy to sort of take that. So let's start it. So I am as Kuratul just introduced, my name is Razi Farooqui. I am heading cybersecurity function at K Electric. K Electric, as you're aware, is the only vertically integrated power utility in Pakistan. We operate within generation, transmission, and distribution. K Electric have been an initiator in this area, and perhaps probably one of the more mature organizations in this area from practice perspective. So without much ado, let's get on with it. So agenda, what I'm hoping to cover today is let's quickly look at the problem. What is the problem? So we all are aware, as our respected colleagues here have highlighted, the growing cyber attacks on power infrastructure. Why do we care? Obviously, because it causes damage to human health and safety, national, regional, and other economies, national security. Power drives everything, and we are all aware of that, and the society as a whole. And what do we do about it? Prepare, invest, educate, contribute, all of this leading to continuous improvement. It's a moving goalpost. As much as we would like to say that we have reached a certain level of protection against cybersecurity, unfortunately, in today's world, that's still a sort of a goal, a phantom goal. It's a moving goalpost. There are new types of threats. There are new types of attack vectors which are out there. And we all are aware of all that is happening. And we're going to talk about them a little bit in this presentation. And what is the ask? What should be done? So it asks sustained investment in human capital, tools, technologies, and processes. So unfortunately, it's not that there is a finite sort of a milestone and then that is it. It is a continuous, as I said, continuous moving goalpost. We're going to talk quickly about the challenges. I'll share KE journey, how we go about it, and perhaps quick recommendations for my esteemed colleagues here to get started on the cybersecurity journey, and then obviously the Q&A. Thank you. So, so why do we care? It is a growing problem.
Sorry for the disturbance.
I'm sorry?
Sir, presentation is not moving. I think slides change. Sorry for the disturbance. Just wanted to highlight.
Sure. Which slide is it on?
Sir, still I'm at the first slide. It's cybersecurity and it's heading.
Right. Okay. So can you hear now? Can you see it now?
Yes, sir. It's fine now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for highlighting that. So the growing problem, and why do we care? हमें क्यों परवाह? ये क्या problem है? So quickly, we're going to look at all those attacks. So there have been a continuous barrage of attacks. It's a relentless attack scenario. So there's nothing really where there is a break. So quickly, the major ones which are reported within the power sector globally in the last 11 months, so in the region, we all heard about Tata Power in India. I think the director here have also shared this incident yesterday on the PowerCert WhatsApp group. There was a cyber attack on critical servers and shut down their operations. And that's our region, that's our neighbor. Ukraine energy grid, we all know what is happening there. There have been initial attacks back in the year 2015, and then there are continuous attacks during the ongoing conflict. Delta Montrose Electric Association, they are the owners of Colorado Energy Company, and they had to shut down 90% of their infrastructure operations, causing brownouts, rollouts in their target areas. Opel Electrobras, a Brazilian utility company, Opel Electrobras, got affected by ransomware. They had to pay an undisclosed amount because they didn't had any recourse to recovery. And then Volue ASA, spring 2022, Norwegian energy company was a target of, and so it continues. There's no respite, there's no break from this continuous barrage. So what does that mean? As I earlier said, sustained investment into human capital, technologies, tools, technologies, and processes. Next, please. Quick question which comes to mind is for a power utility, and let's focus on power utility because that's what the sector we are focusing on. What are the key elements? So here are a few key elements, and by no means this is an exhaustive list. This is just a very high level sort of summarized list. So it is essential that power utilities or whoever have to look at the risk profiling, readiness assessment. You see, you don't know where you're going unless you know where you've been. If you're not aware of what is your current posture, security posture, where are the gaps, you probably cannot have a meaningful direction to plug those gaps and raise the security posture. Executive advocacy. We have heard Jafi Saab also saying this. This is absolutely critical. By executive advocacy, I mean leadership and board level prioritization is essential. K Electric, I've been fortunate, my team have been fortunate because we have absolute advocacy from our leadership, all the way from CSU to the board. What are the key inputs? Regulatory compliance requirements, guidelines. We all have been shared NEPRA guidelines. That could be a key input in terms of where do we want to go? Where are our gaps? What do we want to achieve? We could certainly use one of the global gap assessment tools, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more. That will provide us clarity on gaps. A quick international gap assessment tool comes to mind, C2M2. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. And national sectoral policies and best practices. So for example, State Bank have its policies, cybersecurity policies. SECP is publishing its cybersecurity policies, as well as Munaf just mentioned, that the legal framework of Pakistan is also coming up with certain cybersecurity and privacy laws. Also, because, and we can talk about that a little bit more, because one of the questions which my esteemed colleague here, Kuratalan, asked was on the legalities. And it's interesting because we have a large population here in this country who are foreign nationals, dual nationals. And regulations like GDPR and US Privacy Act actually require that those organizations which retain that data should be compliant as well. So that could be so the demarcation is really fuzzy around there. Allocate budgets and resources. Cybersecurity is expensive business. Nothing for free. And when they say something is for free, take it with a pinch of salt. Cybersecurity ROI is typically 3 years. That's what Carnegie Mellon University found out through few researches. I think as a practitioner, I think every time you stop a ransomware attack, your ROI is right there. Because think about the opportunity cost. If you haven't been able to detect and block an attack and the damage it may have caused, That's immeasurable. Forget the financials, the headline news, the reputation loss. That's irreparable. Development of cybersecurity roadmap. This is essential. This is foundational. Suggestion is, that we can focus on 3 to 5 year efforts because typically the industry evolves and moves within 3 to 5 years. Adoption standards and frameworks. That is absolutely critical because you see, we can all be having baseline of where to go and what to do, but compliance guidelines like NEPRAs and standards like ISO 27001 or NERC CIP could provide us and will provide us with measurable progress. And that measurable progress could tell us where we are, what we need to do to get certified. Identify and prioritize foundational security domains, again, driven by NEPRA, C2M2, NERC, etc. These domains essentially leads to potential projects and work streams. And then those have to be supported by appropriate governance models, security and technology governance models. And we're going to talk about that a little bit as well. Monitor your progress. Periodical risk profiling status dashboard. So, what we do is here in K Electric, we have regular periodical dashboards as well as we have we revisit our gap assessment and see where the gaps are, at least semi-annually, if not more. That also ensures leadership oversight and board level visibility because, as I said, cybersecurity is not expensive and they need to know where their investments and how that is protecting the power utility and its essential business of providing power. As I said, gentlemen and everybody, please feel free to ask questions wherever you feel. So enterprise cyber risk profiling, because and C2M2. So I thought it might be helpful to share C2M2. So C2MT stands for Cyber Security Capability Maturity Model. It is an outstanding free tool methodology, which is very simple. There are guidelines online and which provides you with actual outputs, which are really very useful in terms of looking at where we are and where we need to go. So what is it? It is a set of common cybersecurity practices across 10 domains. And we're going to look at those domains as well quickly. And those are all essential domains. It helps in evaluation, prioritization, and improvement of cybersecurity capabilities. Why use it? It enables organizations to capture the current state of cybersecurity program and track growth over time. So, and I think that's where the power is, because it not only provides us with a framework of capturing current state, it also provides us with the tools to monitor the progress, how we are moving forward in different domains, within the different domains. What does it cover? It covers both OT, operation technology, and IT systems. And who developed it? So it is actually developed by US Department of Energy and Department of Homeland Security under direction of White House. The first version was back in 2012. What does it cost? Information, templates, and resources are available for free over web. I've shared the link here as well. It's open globally. Anybody, any interested party, not only power utilities, anyone can go and get trainings, training materials, download templates, resources. It's an amazing source. The latest version is version 2.1, and it was launched just this summer, June 2022. C2M2, I think, provides our participants with a globally accepted industry tool, which we can adopt and which can help us drive our cybersecurity maturity journey. Next, please. And I thought it might be helpful if I share what So when you go through C2M2, it will guide you to create certain questionnaires. And then those questionnaires are essentially sort of leads to workshops. So those workshops are held with stakeholders, and by stakeholder, I mean perhaps your OT, perhaps generation, perhaps your distribution, finance, enabling function, HR, and sort of try to capture all those verticals and see where they are. Those questionnaires, those templates, conducting those workshops actually provides you and provides the user with a profiling on where do they stand. And when you map that, so actually what you see here at the screen is one of the tools which C2M2 recommends, because if you look at it, and perhaps we can look at it a little deeper. So this is a cyber risk profile sample for a power utility. So on the green ones on the table, on the grid, it is the grid on the x-axis is the status, largely implemented, partially implemented, and not implemented. And there are no sort of, it's a very qualitative, that's the beauty of it, so they're not really sort of, complex formulas. There are guidelines, and what you feel along the guidelines, you can sort of, capture that. On the y-axis are the domains, so we just talk about C2M2 covers 10 domains. And if you look at the lower half bottom of the slide, there are those 10 domains. RM, risk management, ACM, asset change and configuration management, IAM, identity and access management, TVM, threat and vulnerability management, situational awareness, SA, ISC, information sharing and communications, IR, event and incident response, continuity of operations, EDM, supply chain and external dependencies management, workforce management, and cybersecurity program management. Now, I mean, please feel free to ask, but if you go down the website, it will show you. And these are pretty descriptive domains. It can provide you with an idea of what each domains look around. And the questionnaires and templates are around capture information around these 10 domains. So once the exercise is completed, such a grid is formed. So if you look at the grid, we can see that for this particular power utility, largely in generation and transmission and distribution, GGT within the OT domain, it's not implemented. It's all on the red. Yellow, partially implemented. There was few things in distribution and transmission. And then largely implemented for this particular power utility, it is green within the IT setup. On the right side is the bar chart, which can provide a snapshot. And again, if you think about it, this is a very executive level dashboard, and it tells you where a power utility at any given point. So how we use it typically is we revisit and do it for every year. And that actually gives us input on what projects and what areas to focus on, what projects to budget for the upcoming years. So for example, so for this power utility risk profile on the right side, we can see that DGT have, 8, 9, 10, and 16 gaps not implemented. There are a few yellow ones, whereas in IT, there's a lot more. Only one area is not implemented, and that is EDM, which is supply chain external dependencies management. So as you could imagine, this automatically provides us with a rationale of where our investments, where the user investments need to focus, and where to leverage this. Because there are obviously limited budgets and limited resources. So where to optimize those resources to gain maximum opportune and benefit. This is one tool which could help it. Now, please, any questions? Feel free to ask any questions.
Yes, if I can ask the question, my name is Asif Vyas from Digital Areas.
Yes, Asif Saab.
It is a very good dashboard that you've shown, and it has raised a question in my mind that you've got 4 domains: generation, transmission, distribution, and IT.
No, sir.
So does it happen?
No, sir. 4 areas, not domains. The domains are 10 cybersecurity. Those are 4 verticals.
Right. So out of these 4 verticals, what do you think for a power company like K Electric or some other organizations under NEPRA? Where are the most of the threats? Because generation, transmission, and distribution is something which is not directly related to IT security. Those are related to OT security, perhaps. So do you think that most of the threats are in generation, transmission, and distribution, and there are less threats in IT?
So, Asif Saab, I wish I could make a judgmental call on that, but I'm not sure if I can actually say where the threats are, because we see threats 360 degrees everywhere: IT, OT, personal, supply chain. Perhaps you're wondering where the gaps are. So I think, and this is exactly what the usage of this tool is, that using this tool rather than what perhaps I think or you think or anybody else think, the tool debiases our biases and provides a realistic, sort of a rational, structured approach in digging out where the gaps are. And then, so suppose I don't like investing in generation, but if I'm in this sample power utility, even if I don't like investing in generation, this tool is telling me you have to invest in OT. And naturally, as I just mentioned, the limited resources, whether those are financial or HR, have to now be prioritized towards that. So does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Likewise, this is one of the sort of, tools which it provides in assessment. Another sort of, the other one is it also provides you with the capability and tools to draw out a cybersecurity roadmap. Here on your screen, as you could see, there's a cybersecurity OT roadmap, which is derived for 3 years. On this, if you look closely, on the left axis, on the x-axis, on the left column are the domains. So the same domains which we just talked about: risk management, asset change configuration management, identity access management, and so on. And then on the right side of the slide, 3/4 of the slide, we have drawn out the different sort of, and again, these are the same language which we derive from C2M2. So C2M2 says within risk management, your steps should be, generic steps should be: identify stakeholders, perform a risk assessment, manage cybersecurity risks, and then perform continuous cybersecurity risks. Within IAM, identity and access management, says identify stakeholders, review access management, who have access to what, monitor privilege access. We all know privilege access is the most sort of Achilles heel. Not managed well, privilege access could bring the organization, could actually disrupt normal business operations, and then periodically review it. Likewise, threat vulnerability management, it has some great sort of recommendations: identify stakeholders, review email and web browsing protections, establish continuous TVM program, review data protection, review wireless access controls, harden OT infrastructure, establish OEM and CERT partnerships for TVM intelligence. So as you can imagine, using C2M2, actually it uses the same language. It provides concrete guidelines on how and what areas to focus on and invest in, and what could be the sort of a timelines and what actions to take during the timelines. And again, this becomes a very useful tool for executive visibility. Where is the incumbent of the power utility and its journey on cybersecurity maturity model? How mature are we? So perhaps from this perspective, 2 years down the road, we may go back and say, hey, we have actually, aligned our procurement process with cybersecurity requirements. But guess what? We haven't really done the TVM, and so on and so forth. Please next. Again, this is just a continuation of the same tool, because those were 5 domains. The earlier slide had 5 domains, and this one had 5 domains. And again, it's exactly the same. And if you think about it, the grid and this roadmap actually provides us with a very rationalized, almost structured tools where to focus on from a cybersecurity maturity posture model. Next, please. So having sort of covered those foundational elements, I thought perhaps it will be, and thank you, Koratalan, for giving us the opportunity, and thanks to the NEPRA and chairman, because they felt since we were one of the early starters, we were perhaps a little bit ahead in the game, and they thought it might be useful for all our partners to sort of benefit from our experiences. So here's a quick sort of high-level key electric cybersecurity journey. So how did we go about it? So, and these are very high level. So obviously, as you can imagine, over the last 3.5, 4 years, a lot have happened. But so engage with external consultants to leverage global best practice. Big Four consulting. We have engaged with one of the Big Four consultants. There's not hard and fast rules. You can engage with any cybersecurity sort of, well-known outfit. But because at about 3.5, 4 years back, there was not really much maturity in the local market, we thought it was probably best to leverage and build upon international or global expertise. They helped us with developing an enterprise cybersecurity framework and call it an organizational-wide umbrella policy, so you will, because that essentially provides an sort of a board level, executive level, leadership level sort of buy-in on, yes, now we have a cybersecurity practice and we are going to implement that. We carried out a C2M2 gap assessment, so no surprise there. I wasn't aware of C2M2. When we engaged that Big Four consulting, they brought in that tool, and I thought that was a great tool. It captured our risk profiles, both within OT and IT space. And it also sort of helped us in terms of, so C2M2 as gap assessment and telling us where to focus. But how do we measure independently? So I can say I'm C2M2, but how do I measure independently? And C2M2 is not a certification. No outside quality assurance entities would come in and sort of, it's a self-assessment tool. So it is always helpful, and they recommended that we scope out for some cybersecurity standard as well. We scoped out for ISO 27001 because we thought it was applicable. The local expertise were readily available, and it has global acceptance level as well. The best part about ISO 27001, the whole utility doesn't have to be ISO 27001. So, so for example, one of the, so what we did was we say, hey, we are going to start off with our only IT setup, automation setup. And since then, we expanded its footprint. So it allows that flexibility for organizations to do cherry picking on what they wish to do on ISO 27001. And then the third parties come in, and there is a whole cycle, 3-year cyclical recertification exercise as well. We established a case cert, Cyber Defense Command Center. We call it Cyber Defense Command Center. In the more traditional lingo is SOC. We engaged that Big Four consulting to provide us with a SOC playbook and SOC rule book. And as Amar Jafri Sahab, I think, was saying, that it's essential that there are playbooks and rule books, because then the teams would know what are the steps to take, and what are the sort of global best practices when there is an event of interest, quote unquote, or if there is a threat vector detected. And those were the foundations. And those foundations were used to establish. So we have a 24/7, 365 holistic cyber threat monitoring cert, case cert. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more as well later in the slide. We did separation of cybersecurity from IT organization. This is something perhaps NEPRA can also consider, but State Bank had given its regulations back in 2011 that cybersecurity have to report into risk management and cannot be under IT, because if you think about it, that's a conflict of interest by nature. So we did that. We carved it out from IT, and my reporting is to CRO. I'm going to show that. We did a footprint expansion within OT space, because as we are all more focused on OT. So what we did for the power plants and transmission, we enforced basic cyber hygiene. And by that, I mean, who is logging in, who is logging off? Let's have licensed software. Let's ensure we have licensed software. Let's ensure all our USBs blocked out. Let's assure that all those people who are accessing PLCs and HMIs and RTUs in transmission networks and generations are actually authorized, and that there is a sign-in, sign-off processes and procedures. Because you see, we are all starting from the basic granular. There may be different position or posture, but for us, it was pretty new. What we did was, we have adopted and we started off on OEM baseline security adoption for remote access and air gap. So we realized that we have equipment from Allen Bradley, General Electric, Schneider, Siemens, and whatnot. And we said, hey, these are all global organizations. We reached out to them and said, please share your security best practices and baselines. And guess what? They were very happy to do that, because that makes their life easier as well. And we started implementing, because if you think about it, we are transferring that risk rather than figuring out what we do. We are asking those providers, global providers, hey, share your OEM security baselines. We're going to implement those. And that provided us with a ready-made sort of, knowledge base. We reviewed contractual amendments. All power utilities have huge contracts, right, with all these generators and generation and transmission equipment distributors. And we said, let's do corrigendums and addendums to this, because a lot of them were signed up 5-year, 10-year back. Said, let's include cybersecurity sort of, incident response. So if something happens, GE, what are you going to do for us? Schneider, what are you going to do for us? We will do a lot of things, but what are we going to do for us? So we engaged with them to look into contractual amendments. We looked at OT roadmap, and then we have engaged with, we have gone through a whole procurement process. We engaged with Siemens and everybody. And finally, it was awarded to Schneider. So currently, Schneider is actually advising us on our strictly OT area: generation, transmission, distribution, risk profiling, and cyber risk posture. And then, least but not the most, cybersecurity awareness. Studies after studies after studies globally have shown us that no matter how strong your defenses are, no matter how much you invest in your technologies, your users eventually are bound to make some mistake, naive mistake, and that can compromise a lot of things. So we carry out simulated phishing campaigns, seminars and training sessions. Quickly, KE-CERT, we have established the Cyber Defense Command Center. It is designed to plug and play to NEPRA Power Cert server whenever that is ready. We have fully automated harvesting and sharing of IOCs from bespoke open source internal threat feeds. So we contribute to commercial threat feeds, intelligence threat feeds, and we contribute and we subscribe to open source threat intelligence feeds. And then we subscribe to the vendor threat feeds like Fortinet and Cisco's because they provide those threat feeds. So for example, and what is it based on? It is essentially based on, we are leveraging a NATO developed open source defense framework. Please go out, do it. It's called MISP. It's an open framework. NATO have provided that. And they said what it does, it allows indigenous ingestion of these compromised attack vectors. So for example, 2 weeks back when there was a Sidewinder APT IOCs, it was reported, it came out, and boom, within few seconds, actually, all our firewalls, all our network defenses, all our endpoint were all updated with those hashes and IOCs, indicators. So if APT Sidewinder came to us, and on the average, there's like thousands, but we have to filter it. Yeah, and so on the average, about 200 to 300 IOCs and hash tables are added every day to these defenses. And it's all automated. Before it was manual, but after adoption of this NATO framework, it's all automated. And I would suggest perhaps NEPRA can look into that. It's a 24/7/365 non-stop security vigilance. It's an outsourced model. We do anomalies detection, system user traffic and entity behavior anomalies, and it complies with MITRE attack framework. Without getting into detail, there's a global MITRE, Carnegie Mellon University have programmed it, and it's called attack framework. So it complies with that. It's a first responder incident management. So the teams sitting there are investigating, triaging, and prioritizing detected potential incidents. The KPIs are actually based on mean time to resolve. So whatever is detected, what is the mean time? And we've defined the critical and the regular mean time for triage incidents. And then we have an in-house developed comprehensive incident managing and ticketing system, which calculates the MTTR and which tells us where any particular ticket or incident is. Threat risk assessment, again, an essential pillar for every power utility. We carry out organization-wide threat risk assessments on all critical digital assets. We have our own in-house red team, and we have external accesses as well. We carry out KE-wide threat vulnerability management program. It's a monthly scan of all our digital assets. Everything is reported, and then it is, and then working with IT and OT partners, we actually start patching them as well. So there's a monthly cadence on that. We do end-to-end penetration testing cadence that includes on-net, off-net, code scanning, and web recon. So KE Live, KE website, it's all behind multiple layers of protection, and we carry out continuous red team assessments on those. We provide our, based on, because of our leadership support, it is now standard practice that all third-party solutions, integrations, clouds, payment systems, API integrations, everything has to go through our security phase gate review. And that carries out threat penetration testing, vulnerability assessments, as well as walkthroughs. And then all of this actually feeds into our enterprise risk management. So we have our enterprise risk management, which is at the higher level because I report into Chief Risk Officer. And over there, the risk management processes are there, such as risk acceptance, compensatory controls, and risk tracking. Here's just a quick sort of, sharing what could be a possible sort of, organizational structure. So I report into CRO, and then we have 4 broad pillars: security engineering transformation, cyber defense, SecOps and threat management, cyber resilience. And mind you, each of these pillars have further 2 broad pillars, IT and OT. So we are focused on all of that. This is just one way of, organizing it. And again, this is the org structure is again based on SBP guidelines as well as ISO 27001, because ISO 27001 also tells how to sort of, set up the org structure. Defensive depth model, this is just a quick sort of, so I thought it will be a very helpful because this is the whole technology stack. So if you think about it, we have systems, the blue boxes in the middle are our systems, OT systems and OT applications. And then north, east, west, south, there are multiple layers, defense in depth, all the tools and technology. So for example, on the right side, you see threat risk management. We do vulnerability scanning, we do penetration testing, we do network configuration assessments, external assessments, so on. On the south side, you can see we have web application firewall, network detection and retention. And mind you, guess what? All of this feeds into the left pillar, which is the SIEM, our KE cert, SIEM SOC. And that's where all the alerts are being generated and where the fresh pair of eyes every 6 hours, 24/67 are looking into it. Next. So what are the key challenges? The key challenges are acquisition, retention, skilled human capital. That is our biggest challenge. Whenever we have somebody trained, they go to Middle East. Cybersecurity awareness is a continuous challenge. Continuous upskilling of cyber staff, even those who are staying, we have to upskill them. And continuous investment in human capital, tools, technologies, and processes. So quickly, I know I only have 2 minutes. So wondering where to start? Here's our suggestions. Conduct gap assessment. Utilize C2M2 NEPRA guidelines on crown jewels. Aim for MIL1. That's maturity level 1. That's the lowest one. Prioritize engage with executive leadership. Solicit their advocacy. Establish cybersecurity governance, security policies and SOPs. Sign-offs leverage existing knowledge base because everything have to be policy driven. And then on the OT side, clarify your scope. Scope should be generation plans, transmission setups, distribution spread, smart grids, smart meters, supply chains, and billing. Leverage global cybersecurity assessment methodologies. We are leveraging Schneider. That helps to leapfrog to comply with current OT security thought leadership. That also helps us in soliciting OEM vendor cybersecurity baselines, planning for deployment, and then our suggestion scope should at least include foundational security elements such as air gaps, remote access, PLCs, HMIs, SCADA, and ICS systems. Likewise, end users are the biggest weakness. Establish simulated phishing attack cadence and security awareness. End-to-end server infrastructure, licensed software only, please. Open source is good, but only from industry leaders like Red Hat or Ubuntu or Canonical. Antivirus, anti-malware, any Gartner product would do. Block USB port access, no exceptions. We all know what happened with Stuxnet. You've just seen even my USB is not open. My CEO says do not open my USB even if I tell you to. Adopt hardening, CIS hardening guidelines. These are guidelines. Again, these are free. Adopt these guidelines. Our servers are hardened, our endpoints are hardened. Harden those lines because a lot of these vulnerabilities exploit those weaknesses. Establish identity access management practice. RBAC, role-based access control. Who have access to what? So why would Razi need access to financial systems? Or why would I need access to generation system? Role-based access controls. MFA, multi-factor authentication. Gartner says this is the biggest protection against ransomware attack because unless you agree on the token on your cell phone, you're not allowed access. PAM, privilege access management, establish that. Root, power, admin are the most powerful ones. Those are abused and those cause all the havoc. PAM will provide you with control on that. Build threat vulnerability program, internal versus external. It depends on the choices. You can have internal teams, you can engage external ones. Monthly scans on your IT and OT crown jewels, track and patch critical high rated risks. No exceptions, because one missed patching and boom, you could end up paying heavily. Roll out encryption. Encryption is essential. Microsoft has free BitLocker encryption. Red Hat has free encryption. Communications, TLS 1.2, free. Network security. Please look at firewalls. Segmentation is important. Zoning is important. Even do you have firewalls and all those things, because the design is not right. Person sitting in generation can access servers in transmission, and that should not happen. Protect your public-facing assets. Acquire web application firewall. That's absolutely essential to protect against OWASP top 10. For example, just to share, K Electric faces almost 500,000 attacks on our public-facing websites. OWASP, this web protects that. And that's about it. I'm just a minute over, so my apologies, but here's it. Thank you, sir.
शुक्रिया। ऑडियंस में से या वर्चुअली प्रेजेंट पार्टिसिपेंट्स के अगर किसी के सवालात हैं तो आप पूछ सकते हैं।
हेलो, आप सुन सकते हैं मुझे?
जी, प्लीज गो अहेड।
Razi साहब, this is Aurangzeb from Allied Engineering Head Office Karachi, working as a technical auditor. First of all, thank you. आपकी प्रेजेंटेशन काफी फ्रूटफुल थी, जिसमें काफी सारी चीजें हमें पता चली। मेरा आपसे सिर्फ एक ये सवाल है कि एक तो साइबर सिक्योरिटी के बारे में आपने बताया, और आजकल काफी जगह मतलब दूसरे ममालिक में साइबर थ्रेट इंटेलिजेंस पे काम हो रहा है, तो मुझे कुछ बताएंगे कि इस पे हम लोग कब काम स्टार्ट करेंगे?
So essentially, I'm sorry, what was your good name?
मोहम्मद औरंगजेब।
So Aurangzeb, good question. I think you have probably seen initially at the beginning of our session, Amar Jafri Saab's presentation. I think he talked fantastic on cyber threat intelligence. From a key perspective, as I just mentioned, our Cyber Defense Command Center subscribed to 2 open source and 2 commercial products. And those cyber threat intelligence actually automatically updates all of our defenses, all of our tools. That's what we are doing. Now, if you're talking about researching and picking up threat hunting, that's a whole different story. We do not have right now, as in KE, the capability to do research and do cyber threat hunting. And hence, that is why we leverage global intelligence feeds, because whatever is being released, for example, GB1 and CrowdStrike and FireEye, they all have these, and quite a few of those are free. So we would, why reinvent the wheel? Leverage whatever is available. Perhaps that is a higher level of maturity once we have built up our foundational security posture. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Let me add one thing. Razi Farooqui Saab mentioned that State Bank of Pakistan has issued guideline wherein the IT and the cyber security departments are separated. Let me add that according to the NEPRA IT and OT regulations, it is clearly mentioned in our regulation that you need a separate CISO and a full complete setup of cyber security, which does not necessarily be the same as your IT setups, because the focus is also on that. When we talk about our operational technology assets, maybe the simple IT team is not well related to that area. So CISO can be your, especially in case of our licenses generation, transmission, and distribution, where the assets are more towards the operational technology. They need to definitely separate their cyber security or OT certs from the IT certs.
That's a very great point. That's a great point. Thank you. Yes.
अब मैं चेयरमैन नेप्रा से गुजारिश करूंगी कि वो आज की तकरीब के क्लोजिंग रिमार्क्स और स्पीकर में एप्रिसिएशन सर्टिफिकेट की तकसीम के लिए तशरीफ लाएं। थैंक यू।
पहले इधर आओ। बिस्मिल्लाह रहमान रहीम। मेरी टीम कुरतुलैन, आप और आप सब लोग होस्ट, आप सब लोगों का बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। वो सब लोग जो यहाँ स्पीकर्स थे, स्पेशली हमारे रजी साहब जो कराची से तशरीफ़ लाए, अम्मार जाफरी साहब, एज यूजुअल आपकी सपोर्ट इज़ ऑलवेज invaluable for NEPRA for hosting such seminars and disseminating the information and taking power sector to its logical conclusion, which is to embrace cybersecurity. What is the right word? Protection against any potential attacks, because we all have come closer. As we say, this is a global village. It's not only the communication, the distances not have literally reduced, but it is the telecommunication which has brought us closer. But with the advent of technology, we are more vulnerable, and so is power sector. Previously, we used to have the old technology, but now every damn thing is extremely automated, technology based, highly IT oriented. So that makes every single product that we are using highly vulnerable and almost becoming a point of failure. चाहे वो आपके हाथ में फोन हो या कोई भी, अभी इवन आप अगर ईवी चला रहे हैं तो ये सारी मॉडर्न टेक्नोलॉजीज जो हैं वो आपको एक्सपोजर दे रहे हैं. तो इससे हमें घबराने की जरूरत नहीं है, बट दैट रिक्वायर्स अ डिफरेंट टाइप और डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ मैच्योरिटी. जैसे हमारी जिंदगी के डिफरेंट फेजेस होते हैं. बचपन में आपसे एक्सपेक्टेशंस और होती हैं, जब आप थोड़े से और बड़े होते हैं, एडोलेसेंस की तरफ आते हैं, आपसे एक्सपेक्टेशंस और होती हैं. फिर जब आप थोड़े से और बड़े होते हैं, आपकी एक्सपेक्टेशंस और होती हैं. फिर जब आप मैरिड हो जाते हैं और यू बिकेम पेरेंट्स, तो आपसे एक्सपेक्टेशंस बिल्कुल और होती हैं. वही इंसान डिफरेंट मोड्स में, डिफरेंट अपने लाइफ के साइकिल में, उससे एक्सपेक्टेशंस बिल्कुल डिफरेंट होती चली जाती हैं. और तो यही एग्जैक्टली चीज़ है कि हम भी एक ह्यूमन डेवलपमेंट के एक साइकिल में हैं, जिसमें हमारे पास बहुत सारी अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ हैं. उन्हीं अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ के साथ थ्रेट्स भी आ रहे हैं, बट उन्हीं की स्ट्रेंथ्स भी हैं, उन्हीं की वीकनेसेस भी हैं. इन सब को हमें लेके साथ चलना है. आज जहाँ से अपना अपना सफ़र शुरू किया था, केव से या स्टोन एज से, आज हम कहाँ से कहाँ पहुँच गए. तो ह्यूमन इंटेलिजेंस से सुपीरियर चीज़ तो कोई भी नहीं है. कल भी हमारे यहाँ पे एक सेमिनार था, तो बात हो रही थी कि जो अल्लाह ताला ने हमें अशरफुल मखलूक़ात का दर्जा दिया है, हालांकि जो फरिश्ते हैं वो डे इन डे आउट इबादत में लगे हैं, लेकिन हमारी इबादत सिर्फ मुसल्ले पे नहीं होती, हमारी इबादत हमारे काम में भी होती है. तो अम्मार जाफरी साहब से मेरी मुलाकात हुई अबाउट लास्ट ईयर, और तब से हमारा बड़ा एक अच्छा एक दोस्ती का रिश्ता भी और एक वर्किंग रिलेशनशिप भी डेवलप हो गया है. और साथ साथ हम मिल के पावर सेक्टर को भी आगे ले जाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि हम सब लोग, पहले तो नेपरा का रोल ये है कि NEPRA being the power regulatory authority of Pakistan, like any other regulators, we are not probably the most modern, most advanced organizations that I can claim. लेकिन हमारे पास एक क्लाउड होता है, हमारा एक फादरली फिगर जैसे होते हैं हम लोग, वो हमारा रुतबा होता है इंडस्ट्री में. तो ये हमारा काम होता है, ना हम बिजली बना रहे हैं, ना हम ट्रांसमिट कर रहे हैं, ना हम जनरेट कर रहे हैं, ना ट्रांसमिट कर रहे हैं, ना डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कर रहे हैं. बट सो वी हैव लॉट ऑफ थिंकिंग टाइम हियर. तो हमने इस इंडस्ट्री को आगे कैसे लेके जाना है, वो विजन हमने देनी है. और उस विजन में जब हमने मल्टी बिलियन डॉलर्स के एसेट्स लगवाए हैं यहाँ पे, और इस कॉम ने अपना पेट काट के ये एसेट्स लगाए हैं, तो उनकी प्रोटेक्शन जो है वो उससे भी ज्यादा क्रिटिकल काम है. क्योंकि किसी चीज को लगा देना, बना लेना तो एक चीज होती है, उसको मेंटेन करना और उसको इम्प्रूव फर्दर आगे करना, ये उससे भी बड़ा चैलेंज होता है. तो मुझे खुशी है इस बात की कि जैसे हमने पावर विद प्रॉस्पेरिटी शुरू किया था, तो जब वो पहला इनिशिएटिव नेपरा का था, तो लोग बहुत ही ज्यादा स्केप्टिकल थे और मुझे कहते थे कि जी पता नहीं कुछ होगा कि नहीं होगा. लेकिन 2 साल में हमने मोस्ट स्टैगरिंग रिजल्ट्स देखे हैं कि तकरीबन 33 बिलियन रुपीस की फाइनेंसिंग हुई है हमारे लाइसेंसीज की तरफ से. वी कुड बी एबल टू जनरेट मोर देन 34,000 जॉब्स, जबकि अभी तो लेटेस्ट नंबर 45,000 जॉब्स का है, जिसमें तकरीबन 9,000 जॉब्स हमने खवातीन की क्रिएट की हैं. तो ये इट इज़ नो लेस देन अ मिरेकल कि कहाँ आपको ये लग रहा था कि कुछ भी नहीं होगा. अभी इंशाल्लाह 16 दिसंबर को हम लोग यहाँ पे अपने सेकंड CSR अवार्ड्स कर रहे हैं. आपको इंशाल्लाह उसमें जब आप देखेंगे कि कितना ज़बरदस्त काम किया है, और ये वो काम है जिसमें कि हमने अगर देखा जाए तो कोई ऐसी खास जिद्दत नहीं की, ना हमने कोई एडिशनल बहुत कोई स्टाफ रखा, ना कुछ. बस इतना सा किया कि हमने अपने लाइसेंसीज को एक प्लेटफॉर्म दिया और उनको ये बताया कि आप जो अच्छे काम कर रहे हैं, नेपरा आपको ज़बरदस्त अप्रिशिएट करेगा और आपको एक एक ऐसा प्लेटफॉर्म देगा जिसमें आप सोच भी सकते हैं, डिस्कस भी कर सकते हैं, चीज़ों को आगे लेके जा सकते हैं. तो मुझे बड़ी खुशी है. तो इसी तरह आई एम क्वाइट श्योर कि अभी हमने रेगुलेशंस बनाई हैं इसकी, जबकि पावर विद प्रॉस्पेरिटी में तो रेगुलेशंस भी नहीं बनाई थी, खाली गाइडलाइंस बनाई थी. वेरी सॉफ्ट रेगुलेटरी टच था उसमें. तो रेगुलेशंस तो दे आर लिटिल बिट मच, बल्कि मच मोर सीरियस देन गाइडलाइंस. तो और जितनी हमारी ये ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, हमारे जो साथी हैं, हमारे लाइसेंसीज, یہ بڑے زبردست لوگ ہیں جی. آلریڈی آئی ایم کوائٹ شیور کہ دے مسٹ بی ورکنگ اے لاٹ. جیسے ابھی کئی کا ہمیں پتہ چلا جو اتنے انیشیٹوز انہوں نے لیے ہوئے ہیں, اور ویسے بھی ہمیں میڈیا سے خبریں آتی رہتی ہیں کہ ان کا ڈیٹا ہیک ہو گیا. تو I am quite sure that they must already be being a responsible and very responsible organization. They are already taking care of that. تو نیپرا اب پہلی دفعہ اپنے لائسنسیز سے ان کو ایک سسٹمیٹک انداز میں ان سے پوچھ رہا ہے, ان کو بتا رہا ہے کہ بھئی آپ نے یہ سائبر سیکیورٹی تھریٹس جو ہیں اس کے خلاف اپنا ایک پورا پروٹیکشن کا ایک پیرافرنیلیا کھڑا کرنا ہے, اور وہ انفراسٹرکچر جو ہوگا وہ پوری انڈسٹری کو پروٹیکٹ کرے گا. کیونکہ اگر ایک اٹیک کسی ایک پلانٹ پہ ہوتا ہے تو مورلیس وہی اٹیک جو ہے وہ ریپلیکیٹ ہوگا باقی پلانٹس پہ. تو اگر ہم اس کو ایک جگہ کمبیٹ کر لیں گے اور اگر ایک جگہ بتا دیں گے اس کو تو کسی پلانٹ کو, تو وہ سب لوگ اس کی پروٹیکشن کر لیں گے. تو اس لیے ہم سب سے پہلے نیپرا میں سرٹ بنا رہے ہیں. ہم نے تقریباً نیپرا کی سرٹ فائنلائز کر لی ہے. انشاءاللہ ٹارگٹ ہمارا 31 دسمبر سے پہلے ہم اپنی سرٹ اناؤنس کر دیں گے. ساتھ ہی جو ریگولیشنز میں ہم نے 31 دسمبر دیا تھا اپنے لائسنسیز کو, اب ہم ان کو ذرا پوچھیں گے کہ بھائی انہوں نے کیا کیا, ہمیں بتائیں. اور اس کے علاوہ ہم نیکسٹ لیول پہ جائیں گے. اب میرا خیال ہے کہ ان کو 31 مارچ تک دے کے فردر KPIs دے کے اور پھر ان کی رپورٹنگ شروع کرتے ہیں, اور سیکنڈ سٹیج پہ ہم ان کا آڈٹ شروع کرواتے ہیں. ہم عمار صاحب سے میری بات ہوئی تھی, اور بھی 2-3 کیپرس کا کیا نام ہے, کیسپرس کی جو ہے وہ دے آر آلسو ویری مچ انٹرسٹڈ. ابھی وہ KE میں آپ کے آ کے ملیں گے بھی. ان کو میں نے یہ ٹارگٹ دیا ہے کہ وہ اپنی جو پروڈکٹس ہیں اس کو ہمیں ڈیمونسٹریٹ کرے, اور اس کا بہترین طریقہ یہ ہے کہ ہم کوئی ایک پلانٹ ان کو دے دیں تاکہ ماڈل ایک وہ پلانٹ لے کے اس کو وہ پروٹیکٹ کریں, اور تاکہ ہمیں یہ پتہ چلے کہ ان کا جو پروٹیکشن کا کرائٹیریا کیا ہے, ریشنل کیا ہے, ان کے پاس کیپیبلٹی کیا ہے, کیپیسٹی کیا ہے, اور کس طرح کا کام وہ کر سکتے ہیں. اور ان سے جو بات چل رہی ہے اس میں یہ بھی ہو سکتا ہے کہ ہم سینٹرلائز ایک سسٹم نیپرا میں لگا دیں, اور ہمارے جتنے لائسنسیز ہیں وہ اس کے ساتھ ہک اپ ہو جائیں, تاکہ ہم پورا ایک زبردست قسم کا پروٹیکٹیو جو ہے وہ ایک جال بچھا دیں پورے پاکستان میں. تو بہرحال وہ ابھی انیشل سٹیج پہ ہے. انشاءاللہ ہم وہ تھوڑا سا ان کی کیپیبلٹی کو دیکھ لیں, پھر آگے بڑھاتے ہیں بات کو. تو نیپرا کی سرٹ بن رہی ہے جی. پھر پاور سرٹ انشاءاللہ, اس کے لیے ہم نے کچھ نام جو ہے وہ قرۃ العین نے اکٹھے کیے ہیں. ان میں سے 2 لوگوں سے میری بات ہو گئی ہے, دے آر ویری اپ بیٹ اباؤٹ اٹ. تو ہم انشاءاللہ 5-7 ناموں کے ساتھ اس کو شروع کر دیں گے, اینڈ ایز وی گرو انشاءاللہ پھر اور بھی لوگ ہمارے ساتھ کارواں بنتا جائے گا. تو یہ ہم انتظار کر رہے تھے کہ IT منسٹری شاید یہ کرے گی کام, یا کوئی سینٹرل پاکستان کا سرٹ بنے گا, لیکن وہ ہو نہیں رہا. تو ہم نے وی ہیو ٹیکن آور فیٹ ان آور اون ہینڈس. ہم نے کہا کہ انف از انف. تو ہمارے یہ جو ایسٹس ہیں ان کو ہم مزید رسک پہ نہیں چھوڑ سکتے. تو میری اپنی سارے, مجھے نہیں پتا کتنے لوگ اس وقت کنیکٹڈ ہیں, 85 لوگ. تو کم از کم میں ایکسپیکٹ کہ ہمارے جو لائسنسیز کی کچھ نہ کچھ تو یہاں پہ تعداد ہے. آپ کائنڈلی اپنی مینجمنٹ کو میرا یہ واضح ایک پیغام دے دیں کہ جیسے نیپرا از ایکسٹریملی سیریس اباؤٹ پاور ود پراسپیرٹی, پاور ود سیفٹی, اسی طرح نیپرا جو ہے یہ پاور ود سیکیورٹی پہ اس سے بھی زیادہ سیریسنس ہے ہماری. اسی لیے ہم ہارڈ کور ریگولیشنز لے کے آئے ہیں, کیونکہ یہ آپشنل نہیں ہے. یہ اٹ از ناٹ گڈ ٹو ہیو, دس از مینڈیٹری. یہ مسٹ ہیو ہمارے لیے, کیونکہ یا تو ہم ایسٹس لگاتے نا, اب یہ نہیں ہو سکتا کہ ان ایسٹس کو ہم جو ہے وہ بالکل اوپن چھوڑ دیں اور جس کا دل چاہے آ کے ان کو وہ ٹنکرنگ کرے ان کے ساتھ. تو اس کا ایک ہی طریقہ ہے کہ ہم آرگنائز ہوں اور ویجیلنٹ ہو. ابھی آپ نے دیکھا ہیومن برین کی پاور, کووڈ آیا, کووڈ پھیلا, 120 کمپنیز نے اس کی ویکسین زندگی میں پہلی دفعہ بنائی, اس پہ ریسرچ کی, پھر وہ انہوں نے اس کو لانچ کیا, پوری انسانیت کو جہاں جہاں وہ جا سکتے تھے وہ لگی, اور وہ اس کو ایز اے ہیومن برین کی پاور سے ہم نے اس کو کامبیٹ کیا. اب الحمدللہ آپ دیکھتے ہوں گے کہ پاکستان میں تو کم از کم اٹ از ایز گڈ ایز ناٹ ایون دیئر. بہت اگر ہے بھی تو بڑے مائنر قسم کے کیسز ہیں. چائنا میں تھوڑا سنا ہے کہ شاید پھر, لیکن پوائنٹ یہ ہے کہ جب انسان مل بیٹھتا ہے اور اپنی برین پاور کو یوز کرتا ہے تو امپاسبل از نتھنگ. وہ کہتے ہیں نتھنگ از امپاسبل, میں کہتا ہوں امپاسبل از نتھنگ. تو یہ بڑی ایک اچھی چیز ہے کہ اللہ تعالیٰ ہمیں وہ شعور دیتا ہے جس سے کہ ہمیں اس دنیا میں اس نے بھیجا, اور یہ ہو نہیں سکتا. ہم لوگ بعض لوگ اس کو ایک شارٹ کٹ لگا کے ان کی شاید خیال ہوتا ہے کہ ہم سیدھا جنت میں چلے جائیں گے, لیکن اس دنیا کو اچھا بنانے کے بغیر ہم اس ٹیسٹ میں پاس ہوئے بغیر ہم میرا نہیں خیال کہ اس ٹیسٹ کو پاس کر سکیں گے. تو اس اپنے جو اللہ تعالیٰ نے ہمیں یہاں پہ کام دیا ہے ہم اس کو بہترین انداز میں کریں. تو جی ونس اگین عمار صاحب آپ کچھ کہنا چاہیں گے؟ آئی ایم سوری, مجھے صبح نیب میں بلا لیا. جنرلی تو وہ بلاتے ہیں کوئسچن آنسرز کے لیے, لیکن مجھے ایک سیمینار سے خطاب کے لیے بلا دیا, اور بڑے زندگی میں میری پہلی انٹری تھی نیب کے آفس, ہیڈ آفس میں, اور بڑی عزت و اکرام سے انہوں نے بٹھایا اور واپس بھی آنے دیا. اور تو اس لیے میرا صبح کا سیشن تھوڑا سا 15 منٹ میں لیٹ ہو گیا تھا. لیکن کوئی خاص بات آج کی عمار صاحب وڈ یو لائک ٹو شیئر؟ عمار صاحب میرے خیال میں کسی دوسرے سیمینار میں چلے گئے ہیں, وہ تھوک کے حساب سے سیمینار کرتے ہیں ایک دن میں. ہاں وہ اینٹی کرپشن ڈے ہے نا, آج آپ کو پتہ ہے جتنے کرپٹ لوگ ہیں وہ آج مل کے اینٹی کرپشن کا ڈے سیلیبریٹ کرتے ہیں کہ انہوں نے کتنے اپنے دولت اماس کی. چلیں جی, ود دس میں آئی کلوز دس سیشن. تھینک یو ویری مچ اگین ٹیم, اور انشاءاللہ ول کنٹینیو دس جرنی. اور اگین آپ کے ای کو بھی میسج دے دیجیے گا, اور آپ باقی لوگوں کو بھی, کہ ٹائم ہیز کم. ابھی لیٹس ٹائٹن آور بیلٹس, اور اس کو سائبر سیکیورٹی کو بڑا سیریسلی لیں, اور لیٹس پٹ آور ہاؤسز ان آرڈر. تھینک یو ویری مچ جی, جزاک اللہ.
جی السلام علیکم, امید ہے آپ سب لوگ خیریت سے ہوں گے. اچھا جی,